Hello YouTube friends, Dustin Bellinger here, and I have my Ernie Banks autograph out there front and center. Obviously, most of you that watch my channel know the story with that and package damage and got damaged and eventually got a refund and I was able to keep the card. But it was a bit of a saga. I don't want to, dwell into that all over again. But when I was talking about that and made, kind of a video where I mentioned it, my friend here on YouTube, Joey Brings It, reached out to me and said, hey, you know what? I think, if you're willing to kind of trust my judgment and take a little chance, send me, it was, amount similar to what I spent for this card. And I think I got something that I think you're really going to like. And it's like, didn't want to, reveal it. He wanted it to be kind of a surprise. So we're going to open this up and see what it is together. So thank you very much, Joey. If you're not a fan of his channel, Joey Brings It, you need to be, because he is definitely one of the most enthusiastic collectors, and especially, autographs in the community. Just does great stuff. All right. Try not to show. There we go. That was a fiasco. All right. We'll try this without. There, Dustin. Sorry to hear about your Banks card. I hope this one is perfect for your Hall of Fame auto collection. Your friend, Joey Brings It. And man, I'm sure it will be amazing, because Joey's an amazing guy. Definitely somebody whose judgment I trust, with comes to eye appeal on autographs. Good grief, I can't get this tape to cut. This is why I don't do openings on camera anymore. There we are. Okay, slab, so I'm not gonna bend the dang thing. All right. Oh. Oh. Very nice. Look at that. That's beautiful right there. Man. I love that, man. That is great. Awesome signature there. Very nice and legible. That's great. Alright, man. I lost for words. Appreciate you so much, and everybody else. Oh, of course, I was gonna do this also. We wanted to do, Joey Brings It has his contest that he's doing now, where he wants us to talk about kind of the state of modern versus vintage. Where do we see the hobby going? And if we had the $20,000 to spend on a single card, he gave us a couple choices. What would we spend it on? For me, the card that he's the choices is, it's going to be the Ty Cobb, the green portrait, because I don't have a Ty Cobb from his playing days, so that's what I would want. The 52 Mantle, as far as like an investment, is probably the best choice. It's probably what would appreciate the highest, but I've got other Mantle stuff. So and of course, I'm not in the market for any card at $20,000 anyway, so it's a little bit a little bit ludicrous to speculate on that, but that's the choice I would make. Although I would give the caveat, it's like if all I was carried about was what was gonna return the most on my investment, I would go with the 52 Mantle. Now, as far as where we see the hobby gonna go or being, yeah, there's lots of videos right now talking about, oh, are we in this new junk wax era? Are we gonna have like a crash like we had with the junk wax? And it's like, it's different now. I mean, things, you're not gonna replicate what happened in the junk wax era because the conditions are different. And what really brought on the full crash in values was the strike, because the way a lot of this works is you lose value on everything like 2-3 years afterwards. Things really kind of lose their value, but the new stuff kind of replicates it, and you're spending money, churning. You're going, getting that new product. What happened, post strike around that time is you basically had a lot of money leave the hobby, just due to a lot of reasons. And so when things lost value, there wasn't enough new money coming in to kind of keep that, that Ponzi going a little bit. And so things crashed, and it's like, well, what's going to be the impetus for the exodus this time? Are you going to have another labor stoppage, or and to try and pinpoint that, I'd say it's pretty difficult, and you would need something that's going to be big enough and pronounced enough to get, a similar amount of money out of this hobby to cause what happened there. And I don't know that's going to happen. And really, that's all dependent on the different segments, because it's the modern segment needs that more so than, say, vintage. But if you would get a whole lot of people exiting the market for vintage, you could have something like that happen as well. But once again, it takes something significant to cause that. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, the stuff with third-party grading and Slabgate, that was going to be the thing that would do it. But so far, that's really not proven to be the case. I mean, there really has not been any decline in values appreciated on cards, on graded cards. There hasn't been a slowdown in submissions. There's, and the costs are going up, so there's that. So I'm not seeing anything out there that is really going to cause, the crash that you had at the end of the junk wax era. Now, that's not to say, are we in a state where there are inflated values, and are we due for correction? I would say yes. That's probably going to happen, and it's probably not going to be too far off. I'd say we're we're pretty close to that. I mean, we've been in an era where, you know, you've had economic expansion going for really, we're like 10 straight years. You know, I mean, not huge growth, but every year, you know, you're not without having contraction in this economy. That's that's a really long, unprecedented run, and you know, at some point that's due to happen, and you know, for a lot of reasons, I think the next economic downturn is probably gonna be a harsh one. I think we're gonna, you know, there's gonna be there's gonna be a cost for the sugar high that we've had, and so it, things like collectibles and cards, I think you're definitely gonna see, you know, less money available to be spent on this hobby. So I think that's gonna definitely cause some corrections in pricing. Uh, Whether that leads to, you know, how significant that is, you know, something completely different. And there's a lot of things that go into this where people talk about, oh, you know, slabs are the new the new junk wax. You know, was kind of a discussion I heard, and how, okay, so all these cards are getting slabbed, and like, oh, you know, there's these you know, the populations are low, but then what's going to happen when there's like thousands of these cards at this population, you know, that, and and I, when people kind of go down that route, I think they're ignoring a lot of, you know, some basic economic principles that go into some of this. And okay, part of that is when you, if you're slabbing for investment and to be able to flip something, you're you're banking on the cost of what it costs you to submit the card is going to be offset by the increase in value. Now, so you've got to be, you know, cards with high enough demand that can increase in value from that grading. And the thing that goes into this is, yes, you do start seeing more population of certain cards, and yeah, that what that's going to do is that does decrease the value of those cards, because hey, there's more of them, and you know, there's lots of nines, there's lots of tens, whatever, you know, whatever it is. And but you're also seeing at the same time increases in the cost of grading. You know, so as those grading submission costs go up, that narrows that margin that's there for people to make a profit. And so if there's no profit to be had, there's no sense in grading a card for investment to flip. You know, if you can't do that, then it's just, you're just doing it because hey, that's how you want the card to be stored and how you want it to be displayed. And those cards aren't going, you know, immediately right back out on the market. So you've got what kind of results as a stabilizer there in the in that marketplace, because you know, if there's less profit to be made because the prices are going down and it costs more to submit, you're going to see less cards go to PSA. And so you're going to have, it's like, you know, when the economies starts to slow down, what do you try and do? Oh, well, the government will try and lower interest rates to get people to spend a little more money and do things to kind of stir things along. And so it's, you know, there's this adjustment that takes place. Now, there's a lag there, which works in the favor if you're one of the guys that says, oh, this will crash, is, you've got a backlog where it's months and months for, a card from the time you submit it till it comes back. So during those 4 months, if things change and it's like, oh, there's no more profit to be made from flipping, Juan Soto rookie cards or Zion Williams rookie cards, and getting those slabbed and hitting that 10, there's not enough profit margin to be made because it's not increasing the value enough anymore, because there's too many of them out there for the amount of people that want a 10 or want a 9, whatever it is. You still got that backlog of, cards that are going to come in, and that's going to push down those values a little more. So, but that's really going to be only on like those high volume cards, because it's like how many, if you pick like a vintage card, say Johnny Bench rookie card, how many Johnny Bench rookie cards do you think PSA grades in a 4-month period? I'd say a few, maybe it's dozens. I would say, but in the same respect, how many Juan Soto rookie cards do you think PSA is graded in the last 6 months? I would say hundreds, and I wouldn't be surprised if, you consider the different brands and that it's probably thousands. And so there's definitely more risk and exposure from those cards and any type of correction that's gonna occur. So these are just some thoughts here on, and just looking at this from an economics, standpoint, supply, demand, what's gonna change. And really, it's like, I'd say if you get to a point where you're seeing, decreased demand and costs or profits from grading cards, you're going to see fewer graded cards, and it's going to slow down. It's going to slow down that. And so I don't think that there's this, risk that, oh yeah, you're just going to end up with, because it just doesn't work the same way as it did with the junk wax era. When you turned on those presses at Upper Deck and they just kept pumping out 1999 Upper Deck Ken Griffey Juniors and at the level that they did, and the 86 tops, how many of those? It's like you've still got probably warehouses full of unopened cases of those junk wax cards, and you're not gonna have that level of excess of supply that can precipitate a crash like that. So, all right, those are just some thoughts. I know some of you will completely disagree. Some of you might think I'm just nuts. And some of you are like, what the hell did this guy talk about for 20 minutes? And all of them are fair points. So, anyway, Joey, thank you very much, my man. Everybody else, thanks for watching, listening to me ramble. And I'll talk to you again next time. Take care. Bye now.